Hello everyone, welcome to Ellis and Reviews Devil May Cry 5. I have not done a review for this yet. This one won't be scripted like the rest of them were. Well, all but DMC, but I did want to give my thoughts on this considering I've done it on all of them. I do have a few things in my head that I want to get to about the game. So let's just start with the meat and potatoes of Devil May Cry. The gameplay is fantastic. It is the best gameplay in the Devil May Cry series, arguably in the whole character action game genre. The action in Devil May Cry 5 is so good, so well done, especially as Dante. With V, it's hit or miss. With Nero, it mostly misses for me. Especially after I've had to play as Dante so much, and I go back to Nero, and everything feels so different, and it feels almost unplayable. I just have such a hard time with it. But, yeah. But I'm going to focus on mostly Dante for a bit here. When you're playing as Dante, the game feels insanely good, right? When you have 4 melee weapons, 4 ranged weapons, 4 styles to switch between, and one style changes the melee action, one style changes the gun action. It's amazing, right? It's so much fun. It is so stylish. It never gets old, right? The game itself probably clocked in around, let's see, I'm bad at the game, so around 9 hours for me. 9 or 10, maybe 11 hours for me, right? And when I was playing as Dante, I was grinning ear to ear, right? I never got tired of the game at all, not even once. Now keep in mind, I'm bad at Devil May Cry, and especially dealing with the enemies that dual wield the meat cleavers, that like get the super armor and stuff when they get back up. I'm extremely bad at fighting those, and it just pains me. I'm going to try and cut together some of my better moments in this video, so that way I don't look like a complete scrub, but just know I'm bad at this game, right? But I absolutely loved playing as Dante. Good or not, it was so much fun just styling on everything. Like when you get the full SSS combo, switching between weapons, switching between styles, and you get the subhuman, people saying you cannot kill me in the background. It's a feeling of elation that is like drugs. I've never taken drugs, so I couldn't tell you. It's just an expression. But still, it's really good, right? Devil May Cry 5's action is so well done as Dante. I do think V's is not very good, and Nero's is, I don't know, like, Nero's isn't bad at first, but like when you've been playing as Dante for so long, and Dante is so confusing, and you play as him for so long when you first get him, that you kind of forget everything else, and your mind just slowly zooms in on how to play Dante. And it makes like going back to Nero extremely difficult because, okay, I know with this enemy I can Royal Guard him, or I can Trickster, or I can do something like that, like mostly Royal Guard, because my god, Royal Guard is too strong in this game. But then with Nero, you can't guard, so you have dodge, and Table Hopper is very tight timing, and it works different from Trickster dodge, right? So it's just, it's very confusing when you're switching characters between Dante and Nero and V. V is definitely the weakest link of all the combat, right? It's not that he's bad, he's just definitely the weakest link. Nero is definitely the middle link that's not very good, but not very bad. And Dante is like the end-all, be-all, doesn't get any better than this for Devil May Cry action. The Swordmaster feels better in this game than it ever has before, right? And like, especially when you get the DSD, and you get the projected swords thing with that, it feels very off at first, because like, I've played, of course, like all the Devil May Cries together within the span of 3 months, right? Within the span of 3 months, I played the whole series for the first time ever. And during that time, especially with 3, 4, and even DMC, I got used to certain things controlling certain ways. Like with 4, I got used to Swordmaster controlling a certain way, and even that picking that back up in 5 when you first get Dante. But then when you get the DSD, you get these different Swordmaster actions that are objectively, like, DSD is objectively better than everything else, right? Like, the amount of damage you can put out and stuff like that. It's objectively the best sword in the game, but it ends up feeling very, very, very strange, right? When you've been doing all this, and, like, in this game, my strategy was always like, okay, use not high time, what is it? Round trip. Use round trip. Throw that out with the Sparta, and then switch to the Balrog, and then just like switch between punch and kick mode for that, and then just like repeat that cycle and use like maybe air trick or something to get in there. Then use rainstorm and gunslinger and all that, right? And then with the DSD, I have to like. It kind of feels like it negates the use for almost every other weapon because the DSD can do literally everything you need. And that was kind of the problem I ran into when I was playing it, right? And then Wise did say Devil May Cry 5's action is almost perfect. The key phrase here is almost because Dante does have that problem. The DSD feels like the Swiss Army knife that can do anything. And because of that, when I did get the DSD, I very rarely used Balrog, Cerberus, Cavalier. I barely used any of it, right? I never used Cavalier anyways, but like, that's why in this footage that I'm going to have up here, it's like when I'm going back through some of my favorite Dante things, so I can actually like use some of the other weapons and just not use DSD, because I literally only used it. I didn't use the guns, I didn't use any of the other melee weapons at all. He basically has 5, right, because Balrog has 2 things, but like, when the DSD feels like it can do so much, it really does feel like it negates the use for literally anything else. Like, I really felt like, well, why would I use Cerberus if I can use the Devil Sword Dante and just get more out of it entirely? Like, in every single way, just get more from it, right? And it was kind of just a problem I ran into with that. Overall, I'd say I definitely like playing with the Sparta more, because like, I felt like I had more versatility in what I can do. And when I did go back through and use DSD in conjunction with other things, it was definitely much more effective. But I definitely do think that the DSD could have had maybe a little bit less to it to make the other weapons feel a lot more special. Because it is definitely a whole lot less special playing Devil May Cry from Dante's perspective when you have the DSD that can do literally everything. From Nero's side, they made the rev timing a whole lot better, especially getting the EX thing, not the EX, that's just what they call it. Max Act, I think it is, which is when you can rev it at the right time and get all 3 charges. That was really good. They made the EX Act look really flashy. I do think maybe they could have had some different combo things from DMC4, because not a lot of Nero's moveset felt new to me, but whatever. Maybe that's just me. I'm not a big fan of Nero anyways, but yeah, that's pretty much the gameplay, right? Like, I thought it's good, but there are definitely a couple nitpicks I got that I'm pretty sure I'm one of the only ones that feel this way about it, but it's just how I feel, right? But for the music in this game it's pretty good at certain times. The fight tracks are great for like what are their names? Dante, Nero, and V. The fight tracks are all really good. Silver Bullet is great, and even though I don't have the Virgil thing, because I'm gonna wait till I get a PS5 eventually, and then have that special for when I play the special edition. Bury the Light is like one of, if not the best song ever, right? Like, it's just the best. But Bury the Light is perfect and all that, but they're definitely like just the ambient tracks. I can tell a game has a really great score when I can just pull songs out of my head from it, right? Like, I think of like Kingdom Hearts 2. I can name Darkness of the Unknown, 13th Reflection, the Land of Dragons world theme, right? Like, I can name several different tracks from it. Whereas here I can think of the fight tracks, nothing else. I can't think of any ambient tracks that really got me, and that's kind of the difference between how I feel with like Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy 15 and Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Where the ambient tracks are my favorite things, my favorite tracks in those games, right? It's just something small, but definitely something that did kind of bother me. Like, I like to be more immersed by the music, but I didn't really even feel it in Devil May Cry 5. Okay. As for the voice acting was really good. I think the script is a little bleh in some places, right? Like, there are definitely, most of the time, the game is very self-aware, right? Like, for the majority of the game, it is definitely self-aware, like the whole Michael Jackson part. But there are parts where, like, I feel like the game isn't being self-aware, and the script just sucks in those areas, right? Like, I guess it's a difference in the localization of trying too hard, you know? And there's nothing wrong with, like, a game that is self-aware and doesn't take itself seriously. There's nothing wrong with that. I love that. And this game does that pretty well for the most part, but there are definitely times where it doesn't feel that good. And then the last thing I want to touch on, because like, it's just something small in Devil May Cry, the story of DMC5 is definitely like the second best in the series. I think DMC3 probably still has the best story. God knows it's not 4 or 2. For those of you who don't know, 4 is my least favorite Devil May Cry game. It's better than 2. It is objectively better than Devil May Cry 2, but I just hate Devil May Cry 4 a lot. I just did not have fun with that game at all. The dog is snoring. You might can hear that, but anyways, I think the story is definitely like, it's good. It's not like great, but it's definitely better than like 4s or 2s or DMCs or even 1s, right? I mean, I do think 1 had a pretty good story. Well, good for a Devil May Cry game. Devil May Cry is never going to hit the Final Fantasy levels of storytelling, you know, or just story. It's never going to hit that. So I accept Devil May Cry for what it is and have a bunch of mindless fun with it, kind of like Doom. I accept it for what it is and have fun. But the story is, there are parts, like I feel like Virgil could have had a bit more. I know, like, oh, but it's Urizen, he is Virgil. Well, not exactly. I feel like Virgil could have had more. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm being unrealistic. But I do think that Virgil could have had a bit more to him. Virgil's final boss fight was amazing, though, right? Like, I absolutely loved it. Like, but there is one small critique with that fight. Oh, I'm talking about the Dante versus Virgil, right? Not Nero versus Virgil. I don't like that. I don't like Nero versus Virgil because Nero plays really weird, and it doesn't feel good to me. Like, he's much more different to use than Dante, and when you learn to fight as Dante and then to learn as Nero, I just don't like it. But as Dante, right, there is one critique with the fight. You can knock off about 60% of his health with a full charge, perfect parry release Royal Guard. Royal Guard's a little too strong in this game, right? In Devil May Cry 3, it felt borderline useless. Every single hit would break your guard. It felt objectively bad in Devil May Cry 3. In Devil May Cry 4, it still wasn't good, but it was better because, like, you were switching between styles on the fly. It was like 3, where you could only switch at a certain point. And 4, you were just switching between them all, and you could use Royal Guard if you wanted. Lord knows I never touched it. But in Devil May Cry 5, Royal Guard is like maybe a little too good, right? Like, Royal Guard is just a little bit too strong to where you can knock off about 60% of the final boss's HP in one proper Royal Guard counter. And that's a little bit crazy if you ask me. Maybe I'm crazy. Could 100% be it. But that's just my opinion on it, right? And I think that's about it for my talk on this game. I really loved this game. I am falling out of the honeymoon phase with it. Like, when I first played it, I was like, yeah, this is a top 3 game for me. I'm definitely falling out of the honeymoon phase. Like, it's still top 10, but it's probably somewhere between 5 and 10 for me. It's like my favorite games of all time, by the way, that I'm talking about here. Like, it's definitely still really good, and I still really enjoy it, and I still have a ton of fun with Devil May Cry 5, and I still go back to it. But I definitely did fall out of the honeymoon phase a little, and I'm definitely, like, not being quite as blinded as I was when I first finished it. Still a great game, though. My score in this game is going to be an 8 out of 10. The action, almost perfect. The story, good. Not great, of course, because it's Devil May Cry. Music, okay. Could have been a whole lot better. Enemy design, I forgot to touch on this. Enemy design, a massive step up from 3. From 4 and 3, actually. 3 and 4's enemy design. 3 was passable. 4 was not good. Like, 4, that dog is snoring so loud. 4 had, like, good enemy design for Nero, but, like, when you go back as Dante, it was, like, just everybody had super armor to make up for how much better Dante was than Nero. If you want to know my thoughts on Devil May Cry 4, just look back at my Devil May Cry 4 review. Just know that I'm going to, in this video, I want to drop the score from Devil May Cry 4 to a 6.5 to a 6. Definitely not any better than that. Yeah, Devil May Cry 5 is definitely an 8 out of 10. Great game. If you're looking for just some mindless fun, Devil May Cry 5 is like, you can't go wrong with it. It's just so good. And yeah, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry for my absence on the channel. I have been busy with life and stuff. I'm actually going to be pre-recording a couple things tonight. Not pre-recording. I'm going to be recording a lot tonight, right? This Kingdom Hearts 1 video. Yeah, like that's pretty much it. I'm going to try and get more content out regularly because this is a fun hobby for me, right? I really enjoy this. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. I have been Ellison, and thank you again for the 8th time I've said it so far. Thank you so much for watching. Y'all take it easy.